All right, so we're doing the first service to all of the grease fittings that are inside this lower. Hadn't seen any videos out there, any kind of maintenance on the Go Devil, so I thought I'd throw together a few. And if I run into anything, it'll be helpful to somebody else, you know. So we'll keep doing it here in a second. Yeah, they got some looks like they got some grease where they put it down in between some sealant, keep it from getting any water inside of the unit. Next will be these this next plate right here. Down to the last bolt here. Then we should be able to separate it with probably 2 screwdrivers. Gonna try to see if we can get up under the seal. It just takes a little tiny bit of prying. You can see that seal right there. Silicone coming loose where they run a bead of that. You want to run a bead of that, and there's the inside where your belt drive's at. These plates, you're gonna have to stick that screwdriver in there and wedge it a little bit now. It's sealed from the factory. It takes a little bit of pressure. You see, that silicone will finally break. When it breaks, you're gonna be able to open it up. There we go. Just a little recap. We're doing the lubricating steps on this Go Devil FNR and on my 40 horsepower, and I'm about to do all of the internal lubrications for the first time, and then I'm also going to fill my reservoir right here and get all of my external fittings like right there that are on the actual bracket and steering. So all right, for this first one, I'm gonna start pumping this. I got my connector on there. So you want to pump this till you start getting it up there at least 3/4 of the way in that reservoir, and you know that that lower unit's full of grease, and that's how you fill that lower unit up for your grease maintenance on that. Connecting onto that grease valve there, and we're gonna lubricate the upper bearing housing, and then we'll move on to that universal joint right there and right there, and then last we'll move up to these, to the where the sprocket's located, and do the grease fitting up here on the side. It's right there, and then it's got a bleed out that comes out this tube, and I'll show you a little trick I'll do to catch that grease. Greased up good, they're all full, and then I put about 4 or 5 pumps into this lower bearing. Then I put 3 pumps into the universal joints, and I'm gonna do about as many pumps as I need to get that old grease out of the upper bearing where it goes into the sprocket. And that's a drain line hose. And what I was gonna do, I was gonna show you a good way to catch all that excessive grease is to tuck a plastic bag up in here so it can pump right into the bag. So I'm gonna lay that bag right there, and as I start filling up that bearing, it'll start bleeding out the old grease. When it's full, it'll start pumping that old grease out, and it'll go right into that bag, so I don't got a mess inside of my surface drive casing down here. Try that. You watch that. You see that old grease coming out? That's how you do that. It goes right into a plastic bag. Turn by hand. That bearing and sprocket to get that grease good and sorted in there. And then I'm gonna add more. You see how I'm doing this? As I pump the new grease in there, that overflow hose, the old grease comes out, goes right into that bag. Once I start seeing that new green grease coming out, then I know that it's got a full flush and it's all got new good grease in it. All 4 of the internal grease fittings, they're all done. Right there, right there, right there, right there. And you can see the new grease is coming out. The overflow, I got my lower done right there, and the reservoir 3/4 full. Now I'm doing my swivel up here. Give it a couple pumps, and the last thing I'm gonna do is gonna be, it's kind of hard to get to it, that one right up underneath it there. You see it up underneath, and that's for the up and down. And then I put some gasket seal on here, and you can see he's still got a good hardened gasket that's on here, that was on here originally, and that's all the way around it. And I've put this this gasket seal in here for extra, just for this lower, to keep any water out. And of course, it's got a, I took out this plug for now, but that's the drain plug in case it gets any water inside. So after I go run this on the water, of course, I'll come home and I'll pull that drain plug out and make sure it ain't got any water trapped inside. It shouldn't. And now I'm just gonna close it all up. And that was the external and internal lubrication on the Go Devil FNR.